I wonder what happens if I attach this heart monitor to a pigeon. Doctor, it is urgent, alright? We've got a case of brain damage. Fuck's sake, man. Which one of you is it this time? No, it's the patient. Alright, look, lad, here's the situation. Head injuries in centre-backs, very common. The road to recovery is long, but just stay off the pitch for a little while, alright? Oh man, I sure hope nothing hits me in the face after the last injury in a situation like, say, the wall of a free kick. I mean, positives. At least he didn't concede. Am I right? Yo guys, it is your boy Niren here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, the social media website that Elon Musk really wants people to call X, known as Twitter, has been banned in Brazil after a disagreement between Elon and the Supreme Court of the country. Now, fuck if I know all the details as to why, but it's disastrous for citizens of the country, who now miss out on OnlyFans models for Blackburn Rovers, misleading AI images, and old men ranking their least favourite ethnicities. If you want my opinion, Anthony's used his signing bonus from United to bribe the court so that he doesn't get bullied on Twitter anymore. Brazil called a state emergency for Casemiro. They don't need their population seeing that performance. Which brings us nicely onto a game I definitely have no vested interest in. The team I've loved since I was a child savagely battered the team that negatively affected my mental health age 12 as Liverpool beat United 3-0 at Old Trafford.
Manchester United.
Mo Salah once again haunted United like Luke Shaw when he goes to bed and thinks of his groin, whilst Luis Diaz grabbed a brace. But Liverpool's man of the match? Casemiro.
At this top level, he needs to call it a day.
The Brazilian defensive mid put in a disaster class after being dispossessed in dangerous areas for both of Luis Diaz's goals. Where is he gonna be playing next season, I hear you cry? Year 9 PE, the clown at a kid's party, a Notting Hill Carnival DJ set. He'll be getting escorted to Al-Shabaab by Man United fans imminently. A Saudi move, honestly, is too good for him, frankly. Get him down in the 2nd division or a UK alternative, Al-Bar 1. This man needs to be signing for a Middle Eastern militia instead. He has to be doing community service after this performance, because at this rate he'll be clashing with Theo Baker at next season's Sidemen charity match. Now, this morning, there was devastating news for Manchester United fans as Casemiro was found alive in his house. Now, he was hooked after 45 minutes by Erik ten Hag, and poor Toby Carvery here had to come on against Liverpool to fan the flames. That is child labour, brother. United's midfield was a sweatshop here. Casemiro's wife had her say after criticism from United fans, posting simply a picture of all the trophies Casemiro's won in his career over on Insta. United fans won't be pleased by this input.
So I'm thinking, wallahi, yani, do I headbutt you first or do I headbutt your husband?
It could honestly have been worse though for United, even though things were tight early on, as Trent Alexander-Arnold finished off, and this time not to a pregnant woman on Snapchat. He recreated Steven Gerrard's iconic celebration only for the goal to be given offside, and Erik ten Hag was quick to kiss the VAR screen in gratitude. Trent though got the last laugh, holding up 3 fingers to United fans after the game, heading towards the team bus to remind them of the score. And the day wasn't too much better for Argentine centre-back Lisandro Martinez. He slammed into Hungarian midfielder Dominic Szoboszlai.
5'3" and an attitude.
And Virgil van Dijk was quick to tell him that he wouldn't do that to the big Dutchman, instead picking on the smaller players. I mean, well, ironic given Lisandro is 5'4". The butcher was a vegan this afternoon. His utensils were replaced by a bread knife at best. Meanwhile, his countryman Alejandro Garnacho was too busy beefing with supporters on Twitter, saying that fans had worse lives if they were creating fail comps of him. His brother definitely logged into the account that afternoon. Joshua Zirkzee missed 2 massive opportunities, and I'm starting to think that Zerker might have been a better option for United to put up front.
Well, we hope not.
I know. That is the stiffest airplane celebration I've ever.
They had Zizis as their number 9, you know, because his highlights were a disaster. He said when he joined the club he's more of a 9.5. Well, we've seen the 0.5 so far, so if you could give us the rest of the 9. Gary Neville, meanwhile, was having an absolute crisis in the commentary box, and after the game was ready to end it all. Now, David Moyes back in 2013 was quoted as saying that United had to improve improve in a lot of areas, like in defence, midfield, and in attack. And current United manager Erik ten Hag isn't really helping the situation. Instead of accepting that Liverpool were deserving of winning, he took a look at the XG statistics, and if my manager brought out SofaScore ratings after a loss like that, I'm committing a war crime. His delusion at least matches United fans though, to be fair. He was quoted as saying that he's not a magician, he's not Harry Potter. No, he isn't. He's a very different character from that series of films. And upon quoting this, was rinsed by a journalist who broke down all of the Dutchman's problems as manager of the club.
Explain me which mistakes we make regular.
Constantly turning the ball over in your own half, playing the ball out from the back, getting mugged, chances coming on the back of it, counter-attacks when you're outnumbered, giving up endless chances in your own stadium against the team's biggest rivals. The greatest respect, I've seen that.
I think Eric's still got a bit of time, to be honest with you, and I'm not saying that because I want him to stay as manager and see them do badly. And to be fair, they haven't been that bad across the 3 games of the season. They've just lost to one decent side and one pretty good one. All is well for Liverpool, though, and Mo Salah is a freak of nature. He now has 75 goal contributions against top 6 sides in the Premier League. He is just ridiculous. And an honourable mention as well here for Ryan Gravenberch, who was sensational in the number 6 role, hopefully ending the debate of us needing to get in a new one, because him, McAllister and Szoboszlai were sensational, and hopefully this is the start of a title charge. Yeah! Arsenal matched the Reds' early form by absolutely not matching it whatsoever, as they drew 1-1 with Brighton. I actually shouldn't mention Reds for Arsenal because that's a little bit of a touchy subject. To start things off, and Lewis Dunk ironically was dunked on, as Bukayo Saka was inspired by Notting Hill Carnival by thrusting his batty into the nearest organism he could find. But then came a vital turning point just 5 minutes into the second half. Declan Rice, already on a yellow after terrorism in the first 45, nudged the ball away and was yammed by Joel Veltman, resulting of course in Declan Rice being sent off.
What is going on here?
Have you been injured in an accident that was only partially your fault? Clearly Arsenal are being haunted by the ghost of Guendouzi pass, because this red card would lead to an eventual Brighton equaliser. Now he's tapped the ball away slightly here, and that is stupid, I'm not gonna lie. By the letter of the law, if you kick the ball away as someone's about to take a free kick to any degree, that is a yellow card, and given he was already on a yellow, it's a stupid risk to take. However, Joao Pedro did the same and more in the first half and was not punished whatsoever. Plus, Joel Veltman knows exactly what he's doing. Let's not be fucking idiots here. He just wanted an excuse to kick the shit out of somebody. Declan Jolloff, however, was not too pleased in the changing rooms.
So let me ask you a question. If you can't reach it, what do you expect me to reach?
Danny Welbeck, it seems, had a pretty influential part in changing the referee's mind here, and Gunners supporters will be fuming at their former man.
Hey, yo, don't let him do that.
I've been there for you since day one!
All of this, though, means Man City have already won the league officially. They gave the Gunners unnecessary hope when Ruben Diaz saw Luis Diaz score and fancied doing the family name proud, only for Erling Haaland to fail his capture test and 3D print his way to another hat-trick.
It's so disrespectful to the establishment.
His City teammates are clearly starting to get fed up of having to write on his hat-trick balls. Either that or someone told Kyle Walker he had to pay child support shortly beforehand, and his anger spilt out onto the page. This is actually Mark Cucurella's fault, by the way. Why is he reigniting Erling Haaland? Are you stupid? He's got more hat-tricks than Anthony has goal contributions. 8 hat-tricks. That's more than the points tally Everton are going to have at the end of the season. And he's done it in just 69 games. He's going to absolutely smash the record for hat-tricks in this division. Meanwhile, Man City are looking this good, and Rodri hasn't even walked into the establishment yet. Jeremy Doku looked impressive again, prompting us to check the birth certificate of the right-back that he was up against and realised that he was once again 30 or above.
Damn!
Doku must have been absolutely shit for the under-21s. What do you mean none of them are 35? Now, our next topic is in honour of the FNG transfer roundup. It's not dead, these bits are just too long, he'll be back later. As Jadon Sancho made a surprise move to Chelsea on loan. The Blues decided to replace a winger they don't need on mad wages with another winger they don't need on mad wages, with an obligation to sign him permanently if they finish in the top 14. The top 14?
14? You know you can be prosecuted for that?
You laugh now, but that's still only a 50-50 chance with Chelsea, to be honest with you. Todd Boehly is willing to convince any man to join the football club if they played as a winger at any point in their career.
You want a job? Come to me! Wallahi, I'll get you a job!
To complete a simply fuck it weeble transfer strategy. Jadon Sancho at Chelsea doesn't even feel like it works. He'll be stealing Christopher Nkunku's balloons before training, I know that for facts. Only to sound a little bit different when he realises it's just helium in there.
How excited are you to join it and to get going? Yeah, I'm really excited, obviously.
Meanwhile, the man that he's replaced at Chelsea, Raheem Sterling, is also heading out on loan in a surprise fashion as he joins Arsenal for the season. Mikel Arteta, please stop it. You can't fix them. Why do you keep doing this? Chelsea are paying over half of his wages, by the way, to not play. Arsenal have done them dirty.
Did you see what I did there?
It's a scam.
To be fair, look, listen, it was either that or they were going to pay all of his wages to just sit in the under-23s, but they're paying more for Arsenal than Arsenal are, for fuck's sake. Meanwhile, for Raheem himself, and he's collecting the top 6 Infinity Stones. Now, Chelsea wanted a new number 9. That was Victor Osimhen, but they didn't manage to make a deal happen, and instead, Victor ended up at Galatasaray. Now, the story with this all starts after a breakdown in a relationship between himself and Napoli, who excluded him from their squad for the whole season. Antonio Conte wasn't too happy to see him return back to training.
Yeah, I prefer to kill him.
And Romelu Lukaku, their new signing, would get the number 9 shirt instead, which, to be honest, is the biggest insult of all. But how did a deal with Chelsea not happen? They made a deal with pretty much every other footballer on the planet. Well, Victor's agent didn't help the situation during negotiations.
Nah, 200k, man. We can't be fucking... Oh, shit. Yo, give me 1 second, man. Relax, man. Let's negotiate, man.
A disaster class from him, and the offers that Victor was getting after the Chelsea breakdown weren't quite as good.
And when I finished with Slough, there's Reading, Aldershot, Bracknell. You know, I've got a Didcot, Yateley, you know, my Winners.
A move to Galatasaray was the best that he could hope for, given the Turkish window was one of the only ones still open and on loan. But this agent has got his qualifications on the Open University. Turkish football, though, willing to welcome him with open arms. You got TV presenters wearing his mask and wearing it wrong, and the reception he got whilst leading his chant for his new club was incredible. But things can turn very easily. Turkish violence is going to have him in A&E within 3 weeks. They'll be going all out to violate him when he misses his first one-on-one of the season. Now, you know what? It could be a good move in terms of just, you know, scoring a shed load of goals, keeping things ticking over till next season when he gets a move to one of the top 5 leagues. Plus, who doesn't like Turkish football? Now, at Everton, and thanks to Michael Keane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with 3 minutes to go, the Toffees looked like they were on their way to a simple victory. Oh, but wait, no, this is Everton, so they completely fucked everything in impossible fashion. That is legit another points deduction, and it's well deserved. There were Make-A-Wish kids in their defense, on my life. You put fans into their back four, and they're doing better, and they're all clinically depressed. Everton asked for match day photos to be shared from Everton fans. Don't think they'll have received quite what they were expecting. They're obviously completing their new stadium at the moment, and one word of advice, turn the seats away from the pitch so Everton fans don't throw themselves off balconies, but at least they will be happier knowing we're heading into an international break. Now in Spain, and Kylian Mbappe scored his first Real Madrid goal in La Liga, and in fact he grabbed 2 of them in a 2-0 win versus Real Betis. Now before this, Mbappe had been struggling domestically, with former Sheffield United striker Ollie McBurney outperforming him for fucking Los Pollos Hermanos. The Frenchman's performances weren't exactly impressing Real Madrid supporters, but in this one he'd open his account, Vinny Jr. gifting him a penalty after winning it. The guy's doing charity work after all the hate he's receiving, for fuck's sake. And finally, Mbappe had done the unthinkable. Jude Bellingham was there in the crowd, injured, ready to celebrate, but only when the camera came to him. Meanwhile, after scoring, Kylian Mbappe was scared shitless by the referee behind him. I don't know how. There's no need to fear referees at Real, brother. They'll help you out here. Meanwhile, Endrick was left to look sad on the bench. Fuck's sake, man. I should be playing with Bobby Charlton right now. He'll be asking his school friend, Ferenc Puskás, how to get himself into the team. Meanwhile, Kylian has the answer as to how many minutes the young Brazilian's actually going to play for the club this season.
1, 2, 3.
The Real fans have not been too impressed with refereeing this week, chanting that the league is corrupt. I mean, this is a massive own goal, right? Surely, if there's corruption benefiting anybody in La Liga, it's you. I can't wait for the inquest to start on this one. Florentino Perez will have been agreeing with his supporters, reading this from the VAR room. Meanwhile, staying at Real, and Kylian Mbappe has been drawn against his brother in the Champions League, as Real will face off against Lille. Can't wait for him to go 007 in Europe. Barcelona were simply going 0-7 though this week, as they slapped 7 past Real Valladolid. That's Real violated, bruv. Rafinha putting a hat-trick on your head top is absolutely crazy behaviour, but all of those goals weren't quite enough to get Hansi Flick smiling, looking clinically depressed down on the touchline despite the massive victory. At Valencia, and there's concerning things going on in relation to their ticket pricing. Now, if you attempted to buy an Oasis ticket this week, A, you probably failed, but B, you'll have noticed that dynamic pricing became a thing, where based on availability and demand, prices of tickets actually fluctuate inflated or got higher, a price that was dictated by the company selling them. Well, this is something that Valencia want to adapt and use as well, where tickets may well be different prices for different games based on the amount of demand when they go live, which I think is a very dangerous precedent because tickets are already expensive enough in this day and age.
I feel physically sick, literally sick. I could be sick.
Meanwhile, at Celta Vigo, and Oscar Mingueza was called up for the Spanish national team, but Celta Vigo's manager wanted to humble him before he heard the news, starting it off by rinsing him for his lack of pressing. In Italy, and it's been a quiet week, and by that I mean Rafael Leao took to Twitter to call former footballer and Italian pundit Paolo Di Canio a fascist.
Quiet night in at the library. Not.
If this was England, we'd just get a boring notes paragraph, by the way. In Italy, yeah, now you're a fascist, you fucking slag. So what has actually happened here? Well, Paolo Di Canio questioned Rafael Leao's character when he didn't go to the rest of his team during a water break and spend the time. I don't really know. He came off the bench and scored after like 5 minutes. To be honest with you, I feel like that's all he needed to do. But as a response, Rafael Leao clearly questioned Paolo Di Canio's conduct from his playing career, holding up this extremely controversial salute, to say the least. Either way, Leonardo Bonucci is gearing up to blame whoever is black in this situation. Meanwhile, the press conference after the game, a little bit awkward. Yeah, okay, so we got someone with their hand up in the background. Paolo, what do you want to... Oh, no, you don't want to ask a question. Right, I see what's going on here. I mentioned Romelu Lukaku, who joined Napoli earlier this week, and he even scored on his debut. This guy is a glorified FIFA fan at this point. I cannot wait for him to kiss the badge as the celebration. And Napoli fans, I'm here to tell you, he doesn't care. Another new signing in Serie A is Emerson Royal, and Milan fans have given up on him already. It's been 2 games, you know, and they're already editing him out of their starting 11. Emerson Royal, clearly royalty. Unfortunately, that royalty happens to be Prince Andrew, because 180 minutes, and they're done with him already. That's a movie, mate. Clearly, in this situation, a horror movie. They have been embezzled, by the way, by Tottenham in this deal, and Spurs supporters will be trying to sell them Fraser Forster as well to get the goalkeeper off the books. Back at Napoli, and there were some more serious things going on, as David Neres, the Brazilian winger, was robbed at gunpoint by 2 men on motorbikes. Thankfully, he is okay, but crazy stuff going on there. And maybe a similarly surprising story, although a lot less dangerous, comes from Como FC, who made a daring signing of former World Cup and Champions League winner Rafael Varane. United's physio team, however, forgot to tell them that he had knees of Weetabix, and after getting injured, he's been left out of their squad for the season, and they're contemplating terminating his contract already. Now, on the theme of Italy, and within Italy, another nation lies. A nation that is now victorious.
This is not a drill. Remember the time, the date, and the place. San Marino have finally won a competitive game of football.
San Marino won their first competitive football match in 20 years after they beat Liechtenstein in a Nations League game 1-0. A last win in 2004, ladies and gentlemen. This is a historic moment. As you can imagine, the scenes at full-time were unbelievable. A win secured thanks to a debutant teenager, Nico Sensoni. Now, this is ridiculous. Like, genuinely unbelievable story. 20 years without winning anything is tough, for fuck's sake. Just ask a Tottenham fan. But for such a tiny nation, I mean, the population is about 6 people and a cat. There's more people in Chelsea's gym right now than there are in the whole country of San Marino. And for that reason, the celebrations in the changing rooms after were a joy to behold. Not one person in that country is going into work. Not a chance, mate. And given it's the first game, they're fucking top of the league, lads. They're not just winning a game, they're winning it all. They've got the same amount of victories this season as Manchester United. Take that one in. Meanwhile, for poor Liechtenstein, and they now become the longest serving side without a victory. 4 years for them, and they're now the team that we have to get behind. But a historic day for San Marino, and honestly so proud of their team and their players. Boys and girls, it's time for the FNG Transfer Roundup. Welcome one and all to a deadline day special of the Transfer Report. We start off with Ivan Toney, who left the Premier League to join Saudi Arabian side Al Ahly and received his welcome from the club. It's fair to say he doesn't really know what he's got himself into. iPhone Tony seems to be the name that they've given him here at Al Ahly. Something that, given all the dodgy websites he visits, I'm sure he'll be gambling on winning on Google Chrome. Wait, hang on a second, I probably should just check. And Ivan Toney has left Al Ahly. over at Arsenal, and they decided that they needed to bring in a new backup goalkeeper upon Aaron Ramsdale's journey to Southampton, and they chose Neto, who'd already played for Bournemouth this season, meaning they've signed a cup-tied backup for cup ties. That transfer meeting must have been pretty interesting. Mikel, I'm not being funny, we got Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus as options. We need a striker to put the ball in the net. Neto, you're right, brother! Over on Sky Sports, and with the possibility of a mass amount of transfers, the atmosphere was electric. That electricity being used to power this dildo that was shown live on air by a fan behind. And finally, speaking of dicks, Chelsea owner Todd Boehly was in the news again after attempting to ship one of his young players, David Washington, to another club that he owns, Strasbourg, for £21 million, only for the deal to collapse. We can see exclusive footage here of Todd attempting to text himself about transfer negotiations. Now, West Ham and Lucas Paqueta has been up to no good. Rainbow flicking someone after the warm-up, only for it to strike a steward and him to have to think quickly. This is the brain of a criminal. Quick thinking. Boy, it came from the roof, bro, I swear. Over at Aston Villa, and John McGinn posted on Instagram about a little surprise that he'd received. That's handball, ref. At Leeds United, though, now, and one new contract has got them excited as they tweeted, Willie extends.
Well done, Willie.
But how long is it, though? This, of course, announcing Willie Nonto staying at the club till 2028. The physio will be left concerned when the trousers come down during the medical. Brother, I just wanted to stretch you out. No, bad choice of words. I mean, as in, Aaron Ramsey scored an own goal for Cardiff this week, and given the curse that he used to have at Arsenal, this might mean that someone comes back to life now. Amadou Onana is back on international duty with Belgium, and after an interview at the Euros, which confused him with United's goalkeeper, he has a new shirt to take along with him. Speaking of United, and Anthony has a new role in training, being a traffic cone. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, and Joe Bellingham was caught in the comment section laughing at his older brother, who was not willing to take any grief at all. This is the start of the evil arc of Job. He's going to Barcelona, mate. In France, and Lens manager Will Still is getting aggressive down on the touchline.
Shut up, sit down.
Rhymes might have been getting a fine every single time he managed them, but he'll be getting a fine of a different kind after this outburst. Meanwhile, there's the incredible story of Bordeaux's return to football. If you don't know, they effectively went out of business. They filed for bankruptcy last season and lost their professional license after financial crisis. That saw them getting relegated to the 5th division, and after securing a squad for the season in their first game back, their goalkeeper scored a last-minute equaliser up for a corner. They are back with a bang. In Germany, and Stuttgart organised their annual parade, and honestly, the scenes were spectacular, but not quite as positive down at Nuremberg, where ultras of the club did the unthinkable, finding their own player and punching him up after they found him wearing a Bayern shirt on social media, which is absolutely outrageous. Get well soon. That is criminal, well, literally criminal behaviour. But genuinely, it's not that deep, guys. Come on. Nuremberg and Bayern, they don't even play against each other anymore, for fuck's sake. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, and we're back with yet more beauties. So for your first goal of the week, we're heading the furthest out, as we take a trip over to FC Cincinnati and MLS, where Luca Orellano has taken a quick free kick, and he's made the most of it. 80 yards out, smacking the ball over the head of the goalkeeper, and into the back of the net for one of the longest range goals probably ever had in the series. After that, though, and we've got a record breaker, because this is one man who's in goals of the week for 2 separate goals. Take about Gambia's Musa Barrow, who's not only got a representative here in his club football, scoring a screamer from distance over in the Saudi Pro League, but he's also scored on international duty from an improbable free kick out wide for Gambia as well. Ridiculous stuff from him, a week of screamers. But finally, we love a unique goal round here, okay? And that is exactly what we have got from youth football over in Trinidad and Tobago. Shout out the person who sent this in. It's a very niche goal, but it's a beautiful bit of skill to get away from one defender and sit him down on the floor before chipping the keeper from basically the byline. Outrageous, outrageous goal here, worthy of winning any game. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, if you put a bet on a Welsh striker from the Welsh League joining a Saudi Arabian team this week, I think you get pretty crazy odds. But that's exactly what has happened, as Brad Young has signed for a side over in the Pro League. He'll be teammates with the likes of Kurt Zuma after they paid a 300,000 fee for his services. I have no idea. I mean, he's playing Ronaldo in October. He, though, left TNS, the new Saints, who have been pretty dominant in Welsh football recently, and they became the first Welsh nation to qualify for a European competition proper Bamba when they made it through the playoffs for the Conference League. Lan as well did the same in Northern Ireland, so shout out both of those two. At Galatasaray now, and Leo Dubois, the right back, had a pretty unique way of losing his job. He was sacked during a flight to a game. They told him they didn't need his services whilst he was at the airport, so he just had to go home. Should have really noticed the clue when he went and checked his bags in, to be honest with you. Meanwhile, Stefan Ambrosius has got nerves of steel. Whilst playing for St. Gallen in a penalty shootout, he sent his side through with a no-look penalty into the top corner. Disgrace for Ivan Toney on steroids. BSC Young Boys qualified for the champions last week, but they are still struggling domestically. Although scary scenes in the Serbian league, where Red Star player Vanja Durkazic had to leave the field of play after a firework thrown from the crowd exploded right next to him. Meanwhile, in Estonia is where you'll find easily the worst own goal of this week. The goalkeeper's got to hang his head in shame. Now there is time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, Sepsi's chairman had realised that something wasn't quite right during their game away from home this week, and that was the fact that the goal frame wasn't actually the right size. So before kickoff, they had to delay everything for ages so they could actually readjust it. And if that's not the most Romanian thing I've heard today, then I don't know what will be. In Brazil and at Cruzeiro, we got an unfortunate substitution, an immediate injury, and we've got an unfortunate trim watching on from the pub somewhere. Next up though, you're making moves. You're about to get past your man when suddenly an obstacle of a different kind presents itself. And look, he's just following the sat-nav, man. Let him land. Up in Scotland and Partick Thistle Loney, Liam Smith seems to be buzzing to be at the club.
Liam, how does it feel to get everything done?
Yeah, I'm buzzing, to be fair. Just can't wait to get out there and play in front of the fans.
In Canada, and the shambolic own goals just keep on coming. A great finish, this one, I've got to say. Borderline acrobatic. You couldn't do that again if you tried. Meanwhile, in Sweden and at Hammarby, they had a retro day, I think, in terms of, like, they had retro kits and stuff, and their goalkeeper, Warner Hahn, went the extra mile, turning up looking like Lev Yashin. That's my favourite goalkeeper of all time. Now there is time for still 0-0, and you guys know the score. Wait, hang on, what's going on here? That's right, it's a Romania this week still 0-0 collaboration, because this week still 0-0 happened in Romania. I would have thought that would be pretty obvious, realistically. The Sunday League footballers aren't necessarily known for having the craziest diets, alright? But there are at least some things you got to do to keep a level of professionalism, right? Well, not really in Romania, as one referee had to book this player for smoking out on the pitch. And he's lucky he didn't get a red, to be honest with you. Surely that's got to be in the rule book somewhere along the lines. On to the weird stuff though now. Over at Brentford's women's side, and they were involved in a classic 19-goal thriller. It's just a shame for the other side that they were facing that Brentford scored 18 of them. Yeah, they were 18-1 up this week. Yeah, I think the game ended like that. Just wrap up the game early at that. Forfeit the game if you're losing it. Staying in the UK, and one of Britain's most academically gifted kids ever is going to be playing in the Premier League. He starred on a TV show called Child Genius and used to study at Eton College. His name is Tudor Mendel Idowu. He's 19 and he's just been signed by Kieran McKenna's Ipswich from Belgian side Anderlecht. He actually came through Chelsea's academy as a young exciting prospect but decided to leave the Blues. Decision making that might actually prove that he is a genius after all. Though we end obviously on some pretty tragic news, and you will know this if you're a fan of English football as a whole, because there was the unfortunate passing or untimely passing as well of Sol Bamba. A very charismatic, energetic defender who kind of captured the hearts of a lot of different clubs. Bit of a journeyman, really. Had a few really nice and quite like humble like interview moments, especially whilst he was in the Premier League playing for Cardiff. It's a massive, massive shame, and obviously wishing the best to his friends and family. But that is going to wrap up football this week. If you have enjoyed this episode, then of course feel free to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.